there is a moment INFJs know very well. A moment where everything becomes clear. Not just the surface. Not just what is being said. But what is really happening underneath. The truth. The pattern. The hidden meaning behind what is unfolding. They see it. Quietly. Naturally. They understand what is going on. Sometimes before anyone else does. Sometimes before it is even obvious. Before it is spoken. Before it is acknowledged. And in that moment, they have a choice. They can speak. They can explain everything. They can bring clarity to the situation. Or they can stay quiet. And more often than people expect, they choose silence. Not because they don't know what to say. Not because they are unsure. But because they know too much. Too many layers. Too many perspectives. Too many consequences. Too many things others are not ready to hear. And when someone sees that deeply, speaking is not always simple. It is not always helpful. It is not always necessary. So why do INFJs stay quiet when they understand so much? Why do they hold back when they could explain everything? In this video, we explore 12 calm and powerful reasons INFJs choose silence, even when they know the truth. And by the end, you may understand their silence in a completely different way. Let's begin. 1. They see the full picture. INFJs don't just see one side. They don't focus on a single angle. They don't stop at the obvious. They see multiple layers at once. Different perspectives. Different motivations. Different emotional states. Different possible outcomes. They see how everything connects. How one action leads to another. How one word affects something deeper. They understand the situation as a whole. Not just the surface. Not just what is visible. Not just what is being said out loud. And because of that, speaking becomes complicated. Because simplifying the truth feels inaccurate. Feels incomplete. Feels like leaving something important out. They don't like partial truth. They don't like half explanations. So instead of saying something limited, they say nothing. Because the full picture is not easy to explain quickly, and rushing it would reduce its meaning. 2. They know not everyone is ready to hear the truth. INFJs understand emotional readiness. They can feel it, without needing to ask. They notice openness, or the lack of it. They can feel when someone is open, and when they are not. When someone is willing to listen, or only willing to defend. They can sense resistance, defensiveness, denial, subtle but clear. And when they feel that, they pause. They hold back. Because truth, at the wrong time, feels like an attack. Even when it is gentle. Even when it is honest. Even when it is meant to help. So they choose silence. Not to hide the truth, but to protect the moment, and the person, from hearing something they are not ready to receive. 3. They want to avoid unnecessary conflict. INFJs are not afraid of truth. They don't avoid honesty, but they are aware of consequences. They think beyond the moment. They consider what happens after words are spoken. They know that speaking honestly can create tension, misunderstanding, emotional reactions, defensiveness, distance. And if that conflict has no purpose, they don't engage. They don't speak just to be right. They don't speak just to prove a point. They don't speak just to correct someone. They choose meaning over reaction. So they stay quiet. Because not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. And not every moment needs correction. 4. They process deeply before speaking. INFJs don't react instantly. They don't respond on impulse. They reflect. They go inward first. They analyze meaning. They consider impact. They explore different angles, different interpretations, different outcomes. So even when they know something, they are still processing it, refining it, understanding it fully, making sure it is clear, making sure it is accurate. And during that time, silence becomes natural. It becomes necessary. Because speaking too soon feels incomplete, feels rushed, feels misaligned with what they truly understand. 5. They value emotional impact. INFJs don't just think about what is true. They think about what truth does, how it feels, how it lands, how it affects someone emotionally. They consider the weight of their words, the timing of their words, the context around their words. And if the impact feels heavy, they hesitate, not out of fear, but out of care. They weigh their words carefully. They consider timing deeply. And sometimes, they decide silence is kinder. At least for now. At least until the moment is right. 6. They don't need to prove their intelligence. INFJs don't speak to impress. They don't feel the need to show what they know. They don't measure their value through expression. They don't chase recognition, or validation, or approval. So even when they understand something deeply, they don't feel urgency to express it. They don't feel pressure to explain it, because their awareness is enough for them. Their understanding is already complete. They don't need others to confirm it. And because of that, silence feels natural, not limiting. 9. They prefer influence over force. INFJs don't control directly. They don't impose. They don't dominate. They influence quietly, without pressure, through understanding, deep understanding, through presence, calm presence, through example, lived example. They know that force creates resistance, immediate resistance, hidden resistance. But influence creates openness, willingness, curiosity. So instead of pushing, they guide, subtly, without being obvious, calmly, without urgency, without confrontation, without needing control. 10. They trust that truth reveals itself. INFJs don't feel urgency to correct everything. They don't feel pressure to respond to every inaccuracy. They don't feel the need to fix every misunderstanding. They don't feel pressure to expose every truth immediately, in every moment. They trust time, how things unfold. They trust patterns, how behavior repeats, how truth becomes visible. They trust that truth reveals itself naturally, without force, without pressure, without confrontation. So they don't fight to prove something immediately. They don't rush to defend reality. They step back, calmly, patiently, and let reality speak for itself, in its own time. 11. They disengage to maintain respect. INFJs value respect deeply, not surface-level politeness, not temporary approval, but real respect, steady, mutual, felt on both sides, not forced respect, not demanded, not taken, but mutual respect, given freely, maintained naturally. And power struggles often remove that, slowly at first, then completely. They shift the tone, from understanding to winning, from listening to reacting. They turn conversations into competition, a need to be right, a need to be heard above the other, into dominance. Who controls the outcome? Who has the final word? Into control, instead of connection, instead of meaning. So INFJs step away, before it reaches that point, before respect fades, before the conversation loses its purpose, to preserve dignity, not just externally, but internally, their own and the other person's. Because they don't want to reduce someone to an opponent. They don't want to turn connection into conflict. Because respect matters more than winning. Always. More than proving a point. More than having the last word. More than being right in that moment. 12. They know walking away is strength. Most people see disengagement as weakness, as giving up, as losing ground, as avoiding something important. INFJs see it differently, completely differently. They see strength in restraint, the ability to stop, the ability to pause, the ability to not react. Strength in control of self, not control of others, not control of the situation, but control of their own response. Strength in choosing peace, even when conflict is available, even when reaction is easy. They know not every battle deserves attention, not every disagreement deserves energy, not every situation deserves engagement. They choose carefully, where they invest themselves. Not every conflict deserves energy. Some drain, some distract, some lead nowhere meaningful. And walking away is not losing, not stepping back in defeat, not surrendering. It is choosing wisely, choosing clarity over chaos, choosing peace over noise, choosing self-control over reaction. INFJs don't avoid power struggles because they can't engage. They are capable. They are aware. They understand how to respond. They avoid them because they understand them deeply, completely. They see what they lead to: tension, distance, disconnection. They see what they cost: energy, clarity, peace. And they choose something better, something quieter, but stronger: peace, internal and external, clarity, of thought, of intention, meaning, real connection, real understanding. Their strength is not in overpowering others, not in winning arguments, not in controlling outcomes. It is in understanding them, seeing beyond the surface, seeing beyond the moment, and choosing not to fight, even when they could. So if you ever see an INFJ walk away, pause before judging it. Look deeper. Know this: they didn't lose control. They didn't give up power. They chose something more powerful: control over themselves, calm over reaction, awareness over impulse. If this resonated with you, you may understand INFJs more deeply now. Or maybe you are one. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay intentional, move with clarity, respond with awareness. Choose your energy wisely, because in a world that fights for power, your quiet strength is rare and powerful.